This seems like a really kind of weird thing to talk about. And when I asked a couple of my peers, like, yeah, I think I want to talk about escaping success. And they're like, well, that's horrible. That's a terrible thing to talk about because people in the audience are trying to find success and you're trying to tell them to walk away from it. But I think for me, there was a point in my career where I was nailing it. Like, I was really doing awesome. And it frightened the hell out of me. And the reason why I show this piece is because for you, this looks like 4 posters. For me, it's the same poster because it's the same code, and that's all I see. I see the same code underneath that's driving this thing. So I started to have this fear that I had peaked, that I had hit this plateau in my design career, and I was too afraid to change. And I was like, oh my fucking God, like, I'm repeating myself. What am I going to do? And so I'd reached this kind of point in my career where I'd felt like the path that I had walked, I had reached this kind of plateau, and I was trying everything to get away from it. So I was like, okay, Josh, just take the stuff and then cut it up into sections. And it'd be like, no, that's still the same thing. Okay, I'm a Gemini, so I'm having fights with myself. That's just what we do. Geminis, where are you? Yeah, right? Like, you should do this. No, we should not do this. It's like a daily battle that we have. You're like, okay, no, Josh, you just need more color between those things. I'm like, fuck you, it's the same thing, just with more color. But I was trying to escape this place that I'd gotten to. And so I was trying like a lot of different things. I ran away from muted colors and I started doing more saturated colors. And I was just really tired of drawing flowers because I was really good at drawing flowers. And I just didn't want to be that flower guy anymore. And so I would do these like things where I would go out into the city and I would just like draw forms that I would see in architecture, and then I would just take all these things that I drew in architecture and then write programs that would sort of mash them up. I was trying a lot of different things to get to, kind of a new place. And, I was, again, trying to figure out, like, what was the next evolution of Josh? Like, where did Josh want to go? And I got stuck. I really got stuck, and I was really trying, like, outer space. I was trying, like, a lot of different things. And so for me, this was kind of the icing on the cake. This is where I really was like, what the fuck am I going to do? Watson, does anybody know this? It's a computer that played Jeopardy. So I was tasked with figuring out what this thing looked like. And so it played 2 humans, and it won. And I was sort of tasked with coming up with Watson's identity. So these are some of the things that I ended up generating for IBM. Just to note, the upper left-hand corner is the David Bowie Labyrinth version of Watson, and the one just to its right is the Lucky Charms version of Watson, which is, of course, is magically delicious. Again, these are just sort of things that I did that glass in Illustrator, by the way. I was so excited. It took me 2 days to figure out how to do glass in Illustrator. I was like, dude, we're going David Bowie Labyrinth. And they're like, yeah, no, we don't like that. And I'm like, fuck. It was so good. And does everybody know the joke about the number of things orbiting around Watson? There are 42 objects navigating around the... No? 42? One person? It's the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It's the meaning of life, the universe, and everything. Does no one know this story? Huh? Yes, okay, good. That's hilarious. This goes over really well at nerd conferences. At nerd conferences, like, holy fuck, it's 42. All right. I thought it was conceptually hilarious. But for me, it's like, holy crap, like, what a perfect project. And actually, this was the last project I did in Flash. This actually was written in Flash. And I just thought, well, that's it. like, go work at Home Depot now. You've done well. Thank you. Like, where to go? And the problem was fear. And so this is Stefan Sagmeister, and I had lunch with him. And if we ever start a band, this is our album cover. If anybody knows Stefan, he's like 9,000 feet tall, right? Everybody knows. He would hit his head on the rafters here. That's how large he is. And we had this great discussion about fear. So he was doing this thing called the Happy Film, and for some reason he thought it would be a good idea to confront fear in Union Square with a thing of flowers and complimenting women. And so he does this. It's part of his film. He goes to Union Square, and he decides that he's going to overcome his fear of women by complimenting women in Union Square. And he's about 9,000 feet tall, and Stefan has a thing for like really short women. Like if you're 4'11" or 5 foot, he's really into you, which is super awkward because that's definitely like half his height. And so it's a really awkward moment in the film because he's trying to overcome fear. He's like this big Austrian man going, "Your jacket looks fabulous. I love your jacket. I love your jacket. Your jacket, I love it." It's just super awkward. "Oh, I love your ponytail," like, fucking pepper spray. It's really wrong. I love Stefan, but man, that's an awkward moment in the film. But what's interesting is that here Stefan's trying to confront fear, and I had sort of reached a point in my career where there was no fear. I had no fear about the work I was making, and I just felt like, oh my God, I could just wake up in the morning and I could just do shit with my eyes closed. And this terrified me. This terrified me because if I wasn't fearful, then I wasn't going to make mistakes. And if I wasn't going to make mistakes, then I wasn't innovating, which means that everything was homogenized. So I was really fearful that I had plateaued. And so I did a 180-degree turn. I walked away from a technology that was really comfortable, and I decided I was going to learn Java. And so for the past 3 years now, I've been using a language called Java. And I literally just walked away from everything that had brought me success. And what I realized is that creativity doesn't care whether success exists or not, but success will totally fuck up creativity. And I had to find my voice and then know when I should just shut the fuck up and walk away from it. And that's what happened here. And so I was trying a bunch of different things. So now I was in a completely new language that I didn't really understand. But interestingly enough, I was back 10 years, back into those kind of early PlayStation days where I was trying things that didn't work. And I was trying to figure out how to navigate this fear. This is a total accident. This is just a code that gone wrong. But kind of in an awesome way. And so I was like relearning like how to navigate this language. And then I was like, okay, well, let me put myself in like really fearful situation and do things that are really uncomfortable for me. Like I don't do type. I'm really bad at type. So I thought, well, I should fucking do type. And so I would like write these like little patterns, and then I would try to find like type in these patterns, and then I just took it a step further, and I just thought, I just need to be really uncomfortable. So you may be wondering like who Bones is. I would go onto SoundCloud and I would listen to mixes, and if I liked people's mixes, I would design their entire packaging. And so this is this guy Bones, and I would do his like logo and his album covers and his flyers and his posters, and then I would just send him a zip file like, hey, I'm Josh Davis. This is your next logo. Please don't use blue. This is your first album cover. This is your second. And the kid's like, dude, I'm 16. And I lived in Wisconsin, but okay. Like, I don't know who the fuck you are, but awesome logo. Like, and so if you actually look up Bones on SoundCloud, he's like fucking totally using all my stuff, which is awesome. But again, like putting yourself in a really ugly, uncomfortable situation is awesome. It really feels good to do that. And so I started over, and I was trying things, and these things that I was trying, I was folding into this new library. So I work on this library called the Hype Framework, and I'm back to experimenting and trying things to do things. And some of that is good, and some of it has been a total learning process. And it meant that this new 180-degree turn means that I was trying a lot of new things that were happening. And I was back to innovating with new technology that was surprising me, like things like touch screens and things like leap motion and 3D movement and animation. And I was now being able to like put 100,000 particles on screen and have them move to flows of data. I was back to that fear of the unknown. Back to trying new things like graphics responding to sound, and using things like the Kinect to use the body as input has been really. There's a lot of dance parties in my studio. Usually just me. Hey, we're getting this party started. So each one of these boxes represents a point that I can attach artwork to. So it means that, you know, I've been trying this kind of new, this new voice. I'm trying to sing with this new voice that maybe isn't completely polished like it was 10 years ago, which I'm kind of okay with. I'm kind of okay with being a student again and trying, starting over again. So hypeframework.org is where this stuff lives. I'm at a studio called We Are Sub Rosa, where I do this kind of meta art stuff for the screen and installation, which has been really fun. God, we're halfway. I'm just kidding. Oh yeah. So this is this kind of new stuff that I've been working on. This was initially a commission for 9 Inch Nails. And again, this stuff is all just trial and error. Fantagram is a new band that I've been collaborating with, and they've been really awesome muses for me, having me try things that are really outside of my comfort zone. So this is kind of my new space. And all this stuff is just very like, I don't know what I'm doing, you know, which I think is hilarious. I come to these places and I'm like, I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. And people are like, oh, yes, that's fantastic. Yes, that's wonderful. And then somebody comes up and is like, hey, you should come to Japan. And then I fly to Japan, and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And everyone's like, oh, yes, that's great. It's wonderful. I really don't know what the fuck I'm doing. But you people keep flying me places, which is bizarre. All of this is just exercises in the unknown. And they've been a really great client to collaborate with. That video was with a buddy of mine, Timothy Sicenti, and the hair thing is baby powder. Just dump a bunch of baby powder in your hair and then and it's like magic. Baby powder. Write that down. So interestingly enough, is they thought that the graphics that I had submitted were too pretty, and they actually wanted to sort of destroy them a little bit more. And make them a little bit more grainy. And so from that sort of feedback of working with the band, I was trying to find new ways to actually destroy some of the beauty from this work. So I started taking some of these compositions that I was doing for the band, and I was just trying things like, on the left, I would print them out on a laser printer, and then I would just like crumple up the paper and see what the paper would do and what kind of new shapes it would make. Or I would tear up the paper and just throw it on the ground, and then that would be inspiration for new pieces. But this crumpling bit I thought was really interesting because when I would crumple, it would make triangles. And so I could take that crumpling, and in Illustrator I just redrew some of these triangles. But now each one of these triangles would actually be a window into a program that I would write. So based on so this is the same output, except for I'm mapping a different generative animation in each of those triangles, and so the variation that I would get off of this set was really quite lovely. And I'll just lower this a little bit. So this is what it would look like, and the goal here really is to get people to have seizures. If people start foaming at the mouth, then I've won. And it was interesting because each of these triangles would kind of become a window into a little algorithmic animation that I was making. And again, the sort of more the more hurt that I could deliver, I thought the funner this became. And so we did this down at South by Southwest, where we did a private show for about 50 fans, and we projection mapped this in the whole room. So on all the walls, on the audience, on the band. And it was really kind of a disorienting experience because everyone was sort of kind of flooded in texture. At one point, Sarah, the singer, actually stopped after one song and said, "I feel like I'm tripping acid," and I just thought, well, that's a greatest compliment that I could ever get. So, winning. And again, it's this kind of new system. I'm kind of exploring, finding different things, and just doing things that are brash. Like just really bright, saturated colors, and just not being fearful of it looking good. And again, it's nice to make these kind of fully immersive systems when maybe I'm just making a poster. So at the end, it just may be some print piece. But now I've got this fully immersive piece of software that could go on tour with a band, but I can rip an infinite number of different graphic mutations from the system. And so this particular set is for a thing that I did for Diplo, who's one of the guys in Major Lazer. And so this was this F8 conference, and they had this 100-foot penis on the ceiling right? I mean, I walked into the space, I was like, oh, 100-foot penis, that's lovely. Cool, I can totally do artwork on a penis. So I had this big 100-foot sculpture that we projection mapped on, and here's a bunch of nerds freaking out to it. Now this is the Facebook conference, which is also a really fun game called Find the Woman. She's somewhere. Let's see if we can find her. Wait, there she is. There she is right there. There she is. There she is. She's gone. That's it. It was the only woman in the entire place, which is very upsetting. So this is some new stuff that now I'm wrapping up. I promise. You can tell your bosses that you needed to do this. Spend hours with Josh. This is kind of some new work that I've been doing, which again I'm kind of really fearful of because I'm not good at it, which is type. And this was inspired by the latest Aphex Twins album called Cyro that was designed by Michael Place at a studio in London called Build. And I was trying to take some of this typography and just try to animate it in a way that I thought would be interesting. And so again, it's just like another challenge of putting myself in an uncomfortable situation. So I was trying like a lot of different things, and not all of them were pretty. Some of them were kind of ugly, but in a good way. And so I just kind of went through this series. Here they all try to repel from one another. I know it's a little washed out. Sorry about that. But again, this is putting myself in uncomfortable situations just to try things and fail and maybe get to a place that's fun. This one's dreadful, but in a really fun way. And from this kind of idea of not feeling too precious about my work, I really got into glitching. And glitching is super fun. Has anyone done like a little bit of glitching? This is something you're going to try today, which is super fun, which is take a JPEG and open it up in text editor. And if you open it up in text editor, it's just a whole sea of garbage, right? And then just do search and replace. Just do like, I want to take all the A's and turn them to Z's. Then save the file and reopen that file in Photoshop. And Photoshop is like, what the fuck did you just do? And it just like, it basically blows up, which is super fun. And so I just thought I should totally do this in my work at all times. And so now I've kind of gotten into this thing where I'm generating these graphics, but then I'm going to actually go in and do these kind of search and replaces on the byte array, and you just get these really wonderful fuck-ups. So this is the system outputted to glitch. And sometimes it's like, dude, you need yellow in your life. And it's just like, fuck the rest of it. There was probably something there, but it decided that I needed yellow. And so it would make these like just really wonderful. Some of the glitches would affect color and saturation, and it's just, again, these are just wonderful little destructive. Yes, please, turquoise and pink, nailed it. I am so about this. I've been using this for color palettes too, which has been really fun. So trying to not think that your work is so precious, that you're willing to destroy it. To see what happens, and there's just been some really wonderful outcomes from this. This is lovely, lovely landscape in purple. And I don't know what happened here, but I love it.